Have you ever wondered how to create an amazing story for your Theme Park Tycoon 2 roller coasters? Well, in this video, I'm going to be revisiting all the roller coasters in my current park and how I created a story for them. Or just trying to relive how I created them during the build, if that makes sense. Anyways, enjoy. Little word of warning, lads, this video will have no special effects or quick cropping like I usually do. This is just so the whole explanation can make a little bit more sense to you. Yeah, just a little bit of a warning, but enjoy the video. So when it comes to the stories that I create for my roller coasters, it's kind of tricky. Sometimes I have an idea of what I want to do before the build, and sometimes I get it at the very end, sometimes in the middle while I'm building. I don't know how they come along, but I know where the main inspiration usually comes from. So when it comes to road art, I'm just trying to relive it now. I know I wanted an apocalyptic theme, and I think the main thing that I struggle with when it comes to apocalypse themes is that it's always like how it starts. So what you'll notice on roller coasters are themed like during an apocalypse, like end of the world, all that sort of stuff. But I wanted to do a little bit of like a post-apocalypse theme. So this theme is basically an apocalypse in Australia. Why Australia? I don't know. But yeah, it's basically you ride this. The catchphrase for this is ride out your destruction. So you basically go on the ride and you go through all of the elements and airtime and everything, so you can try and live a new life, pretty much. As you can see, loads of burnt down buildings, broken bridges, a car which is going to explode any minute now. It's been about 7 months and it still hasn't exploded yet. And it's all pretty much just like a sanctuary kind of thing. It's very tricky. This is, out of all the 3 roller coasters which I've done in my park, this is the one that I haven't really got my head around when it comes to getting like a fixed down theme and story to it. I know the theme, but it's just the story is kind of tricky for me to try and come across. That's one problem which you'll probably get in this video. This whole video could be a whole gobbledygook for you, because honestly my mind when it comes to creating stories and trying to share them, it's not that great. It's not that great. But yeah, basically the story came across of a roller coaster which is completely past an apocalypse, and it's basically just the aftermath, not like a during, not like a mid-time crisis kind of thing. It's all after. You don't have any destruction during it. It's because it's all after and it's all completely done and dusted. That's pretty much the best way I can describe it. I need to really get a full story for this. I will point this out now, the Eclipse has no theme whatsoever. It's basically just a roller coaster. I've said this so many times. It's just a roller coaster where you go through the park, you'll be like, oh, what's that thing? Let's go queue up for that. I think I went to Chessington, like, recently before I started building this, and of course I got Dragon's Fury at the very front and everyone wants to run to that. So I thought I'd build this as like a little bit of a filler roller coaster. It sucks. Maybe I'll come up with a story for it one day if it just comes to me. I'm not gonna put all my time and effort into trying to create something for it, but that's just there. The story is you walk through the park and it's right there. Go and have fun. Oh dear. The next story is one that has intrigued quite a number of you, actually. So this is my roller coaster Inversion. You say, I know there's an extra E on the end, but it's supposed to be basically like it's in the story, really. So this roller coaster is actually just like a prototype of the first ever inversion that was created on a roller coaster. You go through different inversions, so you've got like a circular loop-the-loop, you've got like a diving JoJo roll there, and then slow into there, a dive loop there, and it just goes different speeds into inversions, because it's just like an experiment, really. Seeing if inversions would be good on a roller coaster, what it does to the body, what it does to the intensity and everything. So Matthew Thomas, hi. Matthew Thomas was the person who created inversions in this story, and he wanted a little bit of a safe space to try out all of these different inversions. Of course, originally it had the extra E on the end, but you just said it normally, so it's quite funny hearing people try and pronounce this roller coaster when deep down it doesn't sound any different. You get people saying, oh, it's Inversion, Inversione. It's just funny, it's just Inversion, just call it Inversion. But yeah, while I was building this, the first thing that I knew that I definitely wanted for this roller coaster, this was before I even had a fixed theme on this, was I wanted this bit right here. So you actually go up some stairs, you get on here, but you go down and you have this there. You ignore the stalling roller coaster back there. But yeah, you get off here and then you go through there. But meanwhile, the roller coaster goes through there and then it goes up. And then all the lights go off. This is something that quite a number of people miss. All the lights go off and then it starts smoking and flashing. And then that's new roller coaster coming in there. So I knew I definitely wanted that in, and then the story just happened to come naturally, kind of thing. Because, of course, I love the Smiler at Alton Towers, and I know how that has the most inversions in the world. So I was just thinking, I wonder what the first ever, how inversions were first created, really. So that's how the story came along for this, and it seems to be quite popular with a number of you. So, first of all, thank you. And second of all, I'm really glad that it's actually clicked. That's one thing I want in my stories. I want it to click and seem quite real, kind of thing. I want it to be like, if I ever imagine something being at a Merlin park with the theme and story, it'd definitely be something like this. I think it's really, really nice. Okay, last but not least is a roller coaster which is not even out yet. This is Kronos. So, as you can see, you'll have to excuse it. It is not like 100% done yet. There's like a few little touch-ups I need to do. So, but one thing I do have is I do have the story which is planned out for this. So, I've always had a theme where it's like a bad guy theme or an in-betweeny theme. So, Rodar over there, that's a bad guy theme. Absolutely. And then this is kind of like an in-betweeny. You can't really like put a pin on it, whether it's a good theme or a bad theme. But this one, I want it to be good. It might not look like it's a good guy story, but it actually is. When you hear the actual story. So, this is basically, the way that this came around is when I first hit 5,000 subs. It was just, I remember when I first hit 100 subs, 500 subs, 1,000 subs, and it's just, time went so quick since then. So I knew I wanted to have a roller coaster about time. When it comes to after I hit 5,000 subs, I knew I wanted something to do with time. I didn't want it to be like a bad guy, oh yeah, time is mine, ah, blah, blah. Like, I was actually going to have that originally, but as I was going along, I was like, no. I want it to be like kind of uplifting. So, if there was a way, one thing I wish would happen, I know it's completely silly, but if there's something I could wish for, it's the ability just to slow down time. Not turn it back, just like slow it down a little bit. So, this roller coaster is basically based on that, really. So, you ride this to try and slow down time for you. Like, you can live like the good moments and just breathe it in a lot more. Slower, really, but instead it just feels like it's going really, really quick. Like, I remember when I hit 500 subs and I'm already on 5,000. What is going on? But this is definitely the most effort that I've put in there, and this was actually inspired quite a bit by Fly. It's because, of course, like all the steampunk and everything, and all the architecture and stuff, that was inspired by Fly. Whereas Rodar was inspired by Voltron and Inversion was inspired by the Smiler. So there's each of my roller coasters where that's a good story. It has a little bit of inspiration from something that's actually in the world. But it's one of those things where the moral of this theme is I knew I wanted something with time, and as time went along, I know I keep saying time, it's going to drive me insane. I know as time went along, the story just naturally came to me. So the moral of the story is, how do I create stories on my roller coasters? It's a lot easier said than done. Sometimes it comes along naturally, sometimes I create it, like, just, I see something, and that, in my mind, just develops into something that could be a really nice story, whether it's uplifting, evil, which, to be fair, 90% of the time it is evil, I'm going to say that now. Basically, the only advice that I can really give is don't rush it. So, there was 2 other projects in this space of Kronos that I started building, but while I was building it, the story just didn't click for me, so eventually I removed it. So, it takes time. That's the only thing. It's just like the most English I'm trying to sound without it sounding all gibberish, but it takes time. You can start building something, if it doesn't click, it doesn't click, forget about it, move on, and then you'll eventually come up with something that does click. Movies can be a very good inspiration. Music can actually be a very good inspiration as well. And don't be afraid to use real life roller coasters, which actually has an amazing theme that you could not steal, but take a little bit away from it, really. So Voltron, I use the diagonal launch into a loop on Rodar. It just all really depends, really. So take your time with it and build I don't really know what else I can really say with it. If you do have any questions, if you need any help or anything, as long as you have a little bit of an idea, you're more than welcome to message me. I am not going to create a whole story for you because I struggle to do it with my roller coasters, let alone anyone else's. I don't know if this helped or not, but if it did, please make sure that you do consider subscribing. Also, leave a like as well. That'd be really kind of you. And other than that, lads, I'm gonna love you and leave you. And yeah, look after yourself. Bye, everyone. I'm really praying this did not sound all gibberish to people.